everybody. I'm Rikki Smith. Welcome to Faith on Friday Presents. At Faith on Friday Presents, we're all about highlighting inspiring people, engaging topics, and small businesses. And while you're here, don't forget, subscribe to this YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. We always put fun stuff out there. All right, so have you ever thought about love as a legacy? Well, think about this. You're growing up, you've had life experiences, you've had relationships, regardless of how they were, good, bad, indifferent. But what have you shown and taught others about love? How to, who to, when to, and most importantly, how to keep it going forward. Today, I want to introduce you to somebody who's going to talk about love as a legacy. Everybody, please say hello to Wendy Watson. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh my gosh, Wendy, thanks so much for being here. When we talked earlier and you said we were going to talk about love as legacy, I thought, I'm sorry, what just happened? But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located.
So I help people master their inner relationships. So while I love the authentic you movement, you can't be the authentic you without being in relationship with all the components that make you a whole person. For example, what is your relationship with your intuition and your wisdom? What is your relationship with your physical heart as well as your emotional heart? What's your relationship with your thighs or your bat wings, right? Like we need to have a relationship, some sort of healthy relationship with all the components that are us. And I do all of this from Denver because most of what I do is online.
Awesome. You have me laughing, your relationship with your thighs or your bat wings. You know what? That's going to be a whole nother show, just FYI. So, so we're talking about love as legacy. Explain to us a little bit about what that actually means. You know, I know you talked about that you help people find relationship with themselves, but how does love as legacy fit into that?
Right. So a lot of people talk about leaving a legacy for their kids or, their grandkids or their nieces and nephews, whether that's a business, whether that's finances, whatever that looks like for you. But I've never heard anybody talk about leaving a love legacy. How are you teaching your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews about love, about relationships, whether that's self-love, intimate relationships, love at work, whatever that looks like for you, right? There's all those different subcomponents to love.
Yeah.
So what legacy within love are you leaving?
Now, are you talking about things like, because it sounds like it encompasses so much. And a lot of folks watching, we have grandma legacy love, whatever the problem was, grandma could fix it with a hug, a cake, or some iced tea. Do you know what I mean? So is that part of leaving a love legacy? Help us understand what does that look like?
Right. So that's part of it. Like you extending your love to your grandchild, right? And making things better when they're crying. But also like how you love grandpa also shows them what a healthy relationship looks like.
Okay.
How you love your daughter or your son helps to show your grandchild what love looks like.
I like that. To me, that begs this question. Growing up, people have seen different relationships, good ones and bad ones. So then the question for me is that experience part of a legacy, whether it's good or bad?
Absolutely, because how you choose to move forward from a relationship that ends, whether it's intimate, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a job, teaching them how to find the silver lining and the gratitude and how to move forward with love, to me would be part of my love legacy.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting. What if, now we're just getting into the hypotheticals.
Yeah.
So, what if I had bad relationships coming forward? My parents were divorced. I was abused. I fell in love with the wrong person. It ended badly. And now I have children. what am I teaching them? How can I teach them to do better if all I've ever known is pretty much crap?
Well, first of all, by getting out of the crap relationship, you're
Mm,
teaching them that that is not an appropriate way to be loved,
that's good. Wow.
right? So that's part of it. You're teaching them. So by staying in it, you're
Mhm.
teaching them that this is okay.
Wow.
By getting out of it, you're telling them this is not appropriate,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So that's step number one. Like, is that part of your love legacy and teaching and saying, hey, this was not an appropriate way for me to be loved. I
Mhm.
don't recommend it for you either. So now
Yeah.
let's go focus on self-love so that we can find the right relationship to where
Mhm.
we're loved properly.
Yeah. I mean, I think back on some of the relationships that I had, a whole nother show. But, some of them were great and ended really great. Some of them were absolute horrifying, and I would probably still have nightmares if I thought that much about it. But going forward, one of the things that I always wanted to teach or wanted to emulate that you are an important person yourself, and you deserve for somebody to treat you that way,
That's
regardless
right.
of if it's your job. Because I know a lot of people watching have been in job situations that have been really trashy, horrible, not right, and leaving the job can be hard because of all of the economic things. But in personal relationships, it's kind of the same things. So one of the things you said, first get out of that. How do you get out of that if you don't know what's next? Does that make sense as a question?
Yes, right. So humans love security and safety, right?
Mhm.
It's one of our primal instincts and or necessities, really. And
Mhm.
so that's great, but you have to take ownership of what you want your life to look like,
Okay.
what your environment looks like,
Mhm.
right? So taking ownership and being like, okay, so this is not what I want it to look like. So
Mhm.
then creating that vision, whether it's in your mind's eye or a vision board or whatever that looks like for you, but creating a vision of what you want your life to look like, and then slowly chipping away at each piece.
Mhm.
So while there may be like a couple of small little things that you can do, there are also eventually going to be some big decisions that you're going to have to make.
Right.
But in order to make those, you have to want it bad enough.
Yeah. Oh
You have
gosh.
to want that legacy. You want to have that peace, that happiness, whatever it is. You have to want it bad enough
Mhm.
to be able to say, I got this, no
Mm.
matter of the outcome,
Right.
because I'm going to create the outcome because
Mhm.
it is not yet written.
Yeah. I think L'Oreal said it best, because you're worth it.
Because
I,
you're worth it.
I like that.
Absolutely. And your kids are worth it, and your grandkids are worth
Yeah.
it, and your spouse is worth it. And
Mhm.
you are
Yeah.
worth it first and foremost, but so are all your loved ones.
That are
They
coming
want to
after
see
you.
you happy
Mhm.
as much as you want to be happy.
Yeah. Wow. So, Wendy, how did you get into this? I'm assuming every relationship you've ever had has been absolutely perfect. Rainbows. Wow, it's the laughter right before I finish the question. I'm just saying. So how did you get into this, wanting to help people learn to leave a legacy of love?
You know, so growing up, and I'm gonna say from like 8 to I don't know how old was I in 2015, up until so 8 to 35, all my
Okay.
relationships were chaotic, turmoil,
Wow.
emotionally, psychologically, verbally abusive,
Mm.
emotionally unintelligent, all of the
Wow.
things. A child of divorce,
Mhm.
awful, awful step parents, like
Mhm.
probably some of the worst. And then
Wow.
2 divorces of my own
Mhm.
from verbally, emotionally, and psychologically abusive men,
Mhm.
right? Because what you grow up with is what you think is normal
Sure.
until you're ready to take that big leap and make the jump and break the cycle.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So, and that's what I did after my second divorce and loss of a child. I went
Oh,
on
wow.
my spiritual journey and be like, okay, what am I doing? Why am I collecting these people? Why do
Right.
they all look the same? Why are they all drama filled and, all have all of these same traits?
Right.
And, you know, I was in massage therapy at the time. So as I was learning these lessons and going through my developing what my faith is, incorporating that into my massage business, and one thing leads to another 9 years later, and here I am, a spiritual relationship mentor, and just getting these amazing downloads from God, from my source, universe, spirit, whatever, it's all the same thing to me. But and just getting this information on how to teach people to love, because we just don't love well enough.
Yeah, we don't love well. Do you think it's a lot because we're not really taught how to love? I have a friend who says all the time, more is caught than taught. So we'll see things and we call that our lesson. Very few of us have ever been sat down at the knee of whomever and taught what love is, what love should be, and what love looks like going forward. So
Yeah,
in
and
that,
even based off of what you're taught, you still have to figure out what that means to you once you're an adult, right? Once you can start making your own decisions, right? Because for my mother, being a supportive person for her brother who is in and out of jail, in and out of drugs and alcohol,
right.
basically being codependent, was her vision of love.
Wow.
Great. If that works
Painful.
for you, by all means, blessings.
Right.
But that's not what love looks like for me.
Okay.
So even if you are taught whatever love lessons you were taught from your community that raised you,
Right.
you still have a choice to decide on which of those lessons works for you and which doesn't.
I like that. You have a choice. Just because you learned it doesn't mean you can't unlearn it.
It doesn't mean you need to keep it.
That's even better. You don't need to
Just
keep
because
it.
you learned it doesn't mean you need to keep it.
Yeah. And to leave a legacy of love, you may have to let go of some stuff. Am I right?
Oh, yes. You're going to have to let go of a lot of things, find a lot of gratitude, do a lot of forgiveness.
Wow.
Right? Forgiveness is going to be a huge key.
Yeah, you said the F word out loud.
Well, it is Faith on Friday.
That's true, it is, isn't it? But forgiveness is hard sometimes because somebody hurt me. So, and what's the saying? Hurting people hurt people. If you have not interpreted and reconciled that stuff in you, forgiveness is going to be tough. And if you don't forgive here, you're going to have a hard time teaching love over there. So you're going to be perpetuating that difficult cycle. So Wendy, what about this? Somebody says, I've gone through this stuff and I don't believe that I am worthy of love, let alone able to give love to someone else. What would you say to that person?
I know a few people. I know a gentleman in Phoenix who has been divorced twice. He's been with his girlfriend for, I'm going to say, close to 15 years. He can never tell her, I love you.
Wow.
He can never tell anybody but his daughter, any other person other than his daughter, I love you. I know a woman that after her first divorce, she never dated, she never nothing. Right? It's a personal choice. Right? If you're doing it out of a conscious, healthy, logical, clear-minded decision, by all means, I fully support you.
Sure.
Like, do it. If you're doing it from a pain standpoint, then I invite you to at least heal the pain and wait to make a decision.
That's good.
Because and let me tell you, after my second divorce and loss of a child, I was callous.
Oh, I can imagine.
I was super callous. And it has taken me 9 years to find somebody worthy enough to date. And I will tell you, it is the healthiest relationship I've ever had. He's by far the most considerate person I've ever met. And so it can happen. The timeline is totally up to you.
Wow.
Right? How you proceed with that is totally up to you. These are the choices that we get to make every single day.
Right.
But a lot of people see getting into another relationship or finding another marriage or finding another spouse, that's the big mountain that you're looking at. But
Yeah.
you're not looking at all the little itty bitty steps. Like, just focus on the next step. Yes, there's a great top to the mountain,
Right.
but just focus on the steps that are right here in
Yeah.
front of you and take one step at a time.
That's
And
good.
let's see if you make it to wherever your destination
Yeah.
is.
In your opinion, Wendy, what do you think about the way that people are dating now, as opposed to how we used to date when we were kids, if you will?
So, I have dated online. Not gonna lie, I've tried a few dating sites, and most of the time when I go out, and I will say most as in like 99.8% of the time I go out, I never get hit on.
Okay.
Whatever that is, I don't know. I'm not gonna judge because it's not my job.
Sure.
Right? For me, and I know I have a client in Phoenix. She dated online. Her and her boyfriend dated for 4 months, got married.
Wow.
Immediately. They lived in separate states.
Mm-hmm.
They've been together for 7-8 years. They're still extremely happy.
Sure. Wow.
Online dating didn't work for me. I
Mm-hmm.
knew for myself that I needed to meet him in person. I needed to feel his energy. I needed to feel his spirit. We needed to connect. I needed to ask. There was a lot of things that were on my checklist, but
Sure.
I also asked universe, spirit, whatever, to vet for me. And if
That's
they
good.
passed that vetting process, then I would entertain them.
I like
Right.
it.
So I think it's really kind of a personal choice. Is it working for you? If it's not, try something else. If it is, then just, keep checking it off. What I find with the online dating is that it's kind of like going to a restaurant and having a 7-page menu.
Oh, so the Cheesecake Factory. Got it. Yeah.
And our brains get so overstimulated by the number of choices that we get into analysis paralysis and can't make a decision.
Right.
So we might test out a flavor, but we know that there's 1,000 more flavors online. So we're just going to keep swiping.
Wow.
And so we get overstimulated with all the choices that we don't make a choice.
Yeah. My goodness, that is so good. You said something that made me think of, you set boundaries. You had a checklist. You knew what you were looking for. You weren't jumping in and, whatever comes my way, I'm just going to take it. You actually
Or I would
had something.
date and I would say, okay, this is what I liked and this is what I didn't like.
Yeah. So
So
analyze it
I don't
after.
want these dislikes. I
Yeah.
don't want any more.
That's
Don't bring them
good.
forward to me.
Yeah,
Right.
that's so good.
What we manifest is what we manifest. So
Yeah.
if we don't know what we're looking for, then we're going to get whatever we're going to get.
Woo! And sometimes you don't even want that. So now, Wendy, tell us a little bit about your business and how you help people in this area.
Oh my goodness. So, right, I teach people to love themselves first and to do the healing and to do the forgiveness. One of my favorite sayings that I heard, and it's probably not going to be verbatim, but it's basically when somebody hurts you, their salary is your forgiveness.
Wow.
Because they
That's
taught
deep.
you a lesson. And so the forgiveness is the spiritual reciprocation.
Woo!
And so being able to find that, to be able to find the lesson or how to use that experience for good, just like I'm doing with my previous relationships, teaching people, okay, this is like, these are negative relationships. So if you're in one, what do we do about it? But also teaching people how to love. How am I going to take those experiences of not being loved in order to teach people how to love? Right. So therefore, being able to use these going forward, I totally forgive everybody ever in my life because they helped create this person that's on here with you.
That's so true. That is so true.
right?
So, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so people looking for ways to love themselves who have not really known how, they would come to you. And what would they get from you?
So they would get one-on-one private coaching. They would get energy healing sessions. They would get meditation, private meditations with a trained monk in Sri Lanka.
Oh, wow.
Or any combination thereof. We can tailor it to whatever it looks like. You also get access to my workshops and my seminars and my speaking conferences and yeah, so you get all kinds of access. I have free Q&As every week.
Oh, wow. There's a lot going on. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, work with you, or finish this conversation, where's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, go to TBR Spiritual Health. That's TBR as in to be revealed, spiritualhealth.com. And you can book a free session with me. It's totally private and confidential. You can look at some of my services and my packages, my book with the 70-20-10 rule that helped me to get here, and listen to some of my material and see my reviews.
Okay, there it is, y'all. Don't worry, if you didn't get all that information down, everything's going to be in the description below. And please reach out for the free session. And don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and like our Facebook page as well. Wendy, my friend, before I let you go, we have to play a game. Okay, this game is called What's Your Favorite? We're just going to get a chance to know a little bit about you, my friend. Are you ready to play?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. What is your favorite kitchen gadget?
The first thing that came up was the garlic press.
Okay, I'm not mad about it.
Because you're taking this whole clove and pushing it through a little thing.
That's just satisfying to watch. I think maybe that's what it is. What's your favorite app on your phone?
Pandora.
Okay, I'm not. What's your favorite channel on Pandora?
It's a station that I created.
Okay.
And it has Nordic, Mongolian music, and yeah, so it's totally outside the box.
A little bit for me anyway, but still, who knows? It could be really cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
The first one that comes up is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah, that's a good one. I do like that. It's so funny to me.
Yes.
What is your favorite time of year?
Fall.
Yeah, and we're coming up on it. I can't wait.
Girl, it's getting cooler.
Yeah, finally. Woo, thank goodness.
I know,
And
right?
finally, my friend, finish this sentence. I have a ridiculous number of blank.
Monopoly games.
I'm sorry, what?
My family and friends decided for me that I was collecting Monopoly games. So they keep giving me, I didn't choose this for myself.
I have nowhere to go from here.
I have like an NFL version and a Millennium version. And one of my salespeople from San Diego brought me the Visa version of Monopoly.
I'm going to be looking this up online. I've never heard this before in my life. I have a ridiculous number of Monopoly